So for the first week was really just kind of like getting all my accounts set up, like we talked in the last video, getting my equipment, etc. Week two, I actually got to start diving into our first projects where they were giving me tickets through Jira. And so I was doing those, was getting some good stuff going. I closed about 6 tickets my first week, which is pretty good. And I guess my boss thought it was like I was doing really well, and so he put me on my own project called Okta with another software engineer. And so I'm also heading that up, but I'm also managing the project I just talked about. And then I'm now writing all of our karma tests for, well, at least the one that I talked about the first time. I can't say the project name, sorry if it's confusing. Let's just say Project 1 and Project 2. I'm writing tests for Project 1, and I guess I'm doing good with that too. So now that we're moving into Docker, and so we've had kind of like this week was like some people from the company coming from Vienna who were showing us and introducing us to it. We're using Docker for continuous integration, and so tests are really important now. And so I'm rewriting all of the tests for our core build, and I'm supposed to teach it to our 3 interns. So that's fun. Oh, and I get to interview somebody next Monday.
What's his credentials?
So he has a master's in computer science, and it's for a junior position.
How do you feel about that? How does it make you feel better?
Considering I only have an AS in comp sci from a community college with a 3.4 GPA, went to Lambda, and then 30 days into my first flippin' job, I'm interviewing someone with a master's degree in comp sci. There's some irony, but I've got to respect the position I'm in. Like, I have to really kind of feel blessed considering where I was and where I am now. Bruh, you think that's bad? No, you ready for the shit? You're gonna think I have a problem, okay? This is 2 weeks, okay?
What? The desk of a true programmer.
Literally. You should see my desk at work. I have 4 cans that I really need to throw away.
What was the hardest ticket that you did so far?
Hardest ticket? I'm still kind of working on it, but I just have to add the loading bar feature to it. I had to make a button that expanded all the columns and all the rows on what's called a pivot grid. And a pivot grid is kind of like this reverse grid where you have columns that open up into rows and open up the grid more on the top side. And then on the left side, you also have the same thing where it opens up into columns that can open up into rows. So essentially, it's kind of like a multi-dimensional grid. Now, the problem is if you're going to make an expand all button, that means you're expanding every single one individually. So you can't just use a double for loop. And so right now, what I ended up doing, this is probably going to be the only time I've ever used, data structures in my job, maybe one of the very rarest times, is I'm using a recursive function that uses a stack to pop and push dynamically the column names so that I can expand them using a dictionary. And now all I have to do is add a loading bar, so when you click on the button, it shows a loading screen while it finishes. Because right now, if you click the button, it does the work and it takes a couple seconds, but there's no like UI UX thing to let the user know that that's happening.
Are you having any trouble with Angular? Because that's what they use there, right?
Yeah, so they're using Angular 6, and so far, no. I mean, I was studying a little bit of Angular just on my own before while I was looking for a job, and I've learned so much Angular now, and I really like it. Like, it's just really nice, the HTML that binds to the TypeScript file, and that TypeScript file has providers with services, and those services, the services is kind of like the Redux, and it's intuitive, and I like it a lot, and I've just kind of, ever since I started using it, I've just really enjoyed it.
I know you got remote days, right? Like, you've been working those remote days, you've been had like two days a week or something, 3 days? I forget how many you get, but...
I get 2 days a week, starting as a junior, and then it turns into 3 after 6 months. And so last week, how I had 4th of July off, and so I requested Wednesday and Friday to be work at home days. And so basically I only worked Monday and Tuesday and got to be home the rest of the week last week, which was really nice.
5-day at home week. That's cool.
Yeah. I requested 2 off next week and then the week after.
What else do you think people should know? about your job?
I think one of the things, and I've been thinking about this a lot while I've been on the job, is kind of like how different my life was in Lambda compared to my life now as an actual software engineer. And one of the things I've learned is that the development cycle, where you go from, okay, here's problem, here's what we need you to code, then the process of coding it, and then actually pushing it into your repo, is that process is either it's not just a little bit more convoluted, but a lot slower. So in Lambda, they give you a design spec, and if it looks good, you continuously push to master, right? No approval needed, no one to review your code, no tests that need to run really, unless you're working in the testing. Unless you're from testing week onward, which they encourage you to use tests. It's a lot slower when you're at work. The process is kind of like, hey, this is the ticket. You open up a new branch with a ticket number. You work on that ticket, and then you push into a development branch. And then from development, you deploy to your development server, which is usually hosted on some kind of third cloud party server or whatever. Anyways, you check to make sure that everything's working. And then in our case, we have Docker continuous integration now. So we check to make sure that our tests worked through that before we even merge. And then my mentor looks at my code in my situation, reviews it, sees if I'm doing a good job, making sure that I'm following good coding habits, making sure that my naming conventions are okay. And then if he likes it, he'll merge it. And if he doesn't, then I need to resolve the conversation on that commit or that pull.
Does that happen often? Like, do you get called out a lot, or do you just have code that goes in and it's smooth most of the time?
So the first couple of weeks, yeah, because I wasn't really doing good naming conventions, and sometimes I'd forget console logs here and there. But now I've learned some tricks to remember just to wipe out console logs that I've written. I have a script that actually runs that will purge them, that I wrote in Python. It'll purge it from my repo for all of my files that have been changed. And so that's one thing. And then I have it's been better. I've been getting them more smoothly in, but still the process of getting like a ticket done could take anywhere from a day, like a full 8 hours, to 5 days, depending on the complexity and time necessary to complete.
Nobody gets it. You're like, only one ticket a week? Like, sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes it's like half a ticket for the day, then you got to wait on 3 other people to finish what they're doing before you can merge your ticket, because your ticket depends on their ticket, so you got to put it in the waiting. And then some other guy's like, oh, I fixed it. Wait, hold on. I made a bug right when you start working on it again. And then you got to revert all your changes and then go back, and then you get nothing done for like 3 days, and they're like, what'd you do for 3 days? And you're like,
And then if you actually do merge into the branch, you need to let everyone on your team know that's working on that project to rebase their most current branches, or else they're going to screw up and branch out. And that's no bueno. It's a lot different than what I was used to, but I enjoy it so much more because it gives me more time to talk with my mentor, understand, and learn. And so it's been really nice for me.
Is the mentor the same person as your boss?
No. So I have a mentor who's been at the company for a little over a year and a half, who knows the code base for this specific project very well, and so he's been mentoring me and helping me learn it. But the nice thing about all our projects is they're all kind of, like if I was to describe it, branches off of the core repo. And then there's slight variations depending on the client's needs. And so, like I said before, once you kind of know one, you kind of know them all. It's so funny. It just reminds me of when I was, I had, like a job offer from WGU, Western's Governors University. And I'm like, that's ironic that I would be working for a university without a degree.
It's because they're not in the business of education. They're in the business of business.
Making money. I do want to put a little tag for people who might have misunderstood what I said last video. It might sound like I have a lot of fun all day and stuff, but I want to kind of reiterate to what Josh was explaining before with certain day in the life videos. Besides the hour that I have for lunch, or that I get up to go to the bathroom or get drinks, I'm at my computer coding all day. It's not like I'm playing Wii or talking to my coworkers for 4 hours, eating lunch for 2 hours, having 3 team meetings all day, and then coding for an hour. That definitely does not happen.
But you like it though, I guess.
Oh, I love it. It's challenging. And sometimes I even code through my lunch because I'm enjoying it.